How to know when you are out of alignment with yourself? What are the Ayurvedic signs from the mind-body perspective? Most people don't realize they are out of alignment until their body forces them to listen. Fatigue that doesn't lift, digestive issues that keep returning, irritability without a clear reason, anxiety that seems to appear from nowhere, a quiet loss of motivation or joy. What's important to understand is this: these are not sudden problems. Ayurveda teaches that misalignment shows up long before illness or burnout. But we often ignore the early signs, explain them away, or push through them. So today I want to help you recognize when you are out of alignment, not as a failure, not as something to fix urgently, but as valuable feedback from your system. Because misalignment is not a judgment, it is information. So alignment is not perfection, and one of the biggest understandings about alignment is that it means life should feel easy all the time. That is not what Ayurveda teaches. Alignment does not mean no challenges, no effort, no discomfort. Alignment means your actions broadly match your values. Your energy feels sustainable over time. Your nervous system is not constantly tightening or defending. When alignment is present, effort still exists, but satisfaction is there too. When alignment is lost, something shifts. Effort increases, but fulfillment decreases. You may still function well, but you may still meet responsibilities, but your life starts to feel heavier than it needs to. That heaviness is not a personal weakness, it is signal. So some of the early signs of misalignment, what is the Ayurvedic view? Ayurveda pays close attention to early signals because prevention is always easier than repair. So let's look at how misalignment shows up across the mind, emotions and body. The mental signs could be, one of the earliest signs is constant overthinking. Not productive thinking, but looping. Decisions feel harder. You second guess yourself. Clarity feels just out of reach. There may be also irritability without a clear cause. Some things feel disproportionate and frustrating. From an Ayurvedic perspective, this often indicates a nervous system under strain and vata imbalance. Some of the emotional signs. So emotionally, misalignment can show up in different ways. Some people feel disconnected from joy, others feel emotionally overwhelmed. Some feel numb, like they are going through the emotions and motions. You may notice you react more strongly than usual, or that it takes longer to settle after emotional experiences. Ayurveda does not judge these states, it simply asks, what is the system trying to communicate? Physical signs? Physically, misalignment often appears in digestion and sleep first. Disturbed digestion, irregular appetite, bloating or heaviness, sleep that looks adequate on the surface but doesn't feel restorative, persistent muscle tension, a sense of heaviness or restlessness in the body. Ayurveda sees these not as isolated symptoms but as expressions of imbalance. The body is often the first to speak. Let's look at some dosha-specific signs of being out of alignment. One of the reasons misalignment can be confusing is that it looks different for different people. Ayurveda explains this through the doshas. So when vata is out of balance, for example, misalignment often feels like anxiety. Thoughts move quickly. options multiply. Intuition feels urgent rather than calm. People may jump between decisions, projects, or ideas. Restlessness replaces clarity. What's important to note is that anxious thinking is not intuition, even though it can feel similar at times. Ayurveda would say the system needs grounding, not more choices. And when Pitta is out of alignment, misalignment often shows up as pressure, forcing outcomes, frustration with others, impatience with anything that slows progress. From the outside, things may look successful, but internally, burnout begins to build. Ayurveda teaches that when drive overrides rhythm, clarity suffers, even if achievement continues. And when Kapha is out of alignment, misalignment can feel like stagnation, loss of motivation, resistance to change, staying in familiar patterns even when they no longer feel right. There may be emotional heaviness or withdrawal. Ayurveda sees this not as laziness but as a system that needs gentle activation, not pressure. Each dosha loses alignment differently, and that is why self-awareness matters far more than one-size-fits-all kind of advice. And why we stay out of alignment for too long. If misalignment shows up early, why do we ignore it? Ayurveda recognizes several reasons. Often, the mind justifies it. It's just a phase. It will pass once things settle. I will deal with it later. Responsibilities feel non-negotiable. Work, family, commitments, and change feels risky, especially when things look fine on the outside. Ayurveda teaches that ignoring alignment doesn't make life easier, it simply postpones the conversation. Eventually, the body insists. Listening early is not weakness, it is actually intelligence. So, reorienting yourself gently is one of the most compassionate teachings of Ayurveda is this. Alignment returns gently, not through force, not through dramatic decisions, but through responsiveness. Alignment often begins to return when you slow down, reduce unnecessary stimulation, restore rhythm, honor energy limits. Sometimes alignment returns through rest, allowing the system to recover. Sometimes through honesty, admitting something no longer fits. Sometimes through letting go of roles, expectations, or habits that drain more than they give. Ayurveda does not rush this process because realignment is not about speed, it is about truth. So, one of the most important shifts is learning to listen without alarm. Misalignment does not mean something is wrong with you, it means something needs attention. When you respond with curiosity rather than panic, the system softens and clarity becomes easier to access. You don't need to analyze every feeling. You need to notice patterns. What feels heavy? What feels depleting? What feels sustaining? These questions restore orientation. If something in your life feels heavy, tense, or constantly effortful, pause. Not to analyze, not to judge, but to listen. Misalignment is not a crisis, it is an invitation to slow down, to restore rhythm, to return to yourself. Ayurveda reminds us that Alignment is not something we achieve once. It's something we keep coming back to, gently, repeatedly, with awareness. And each time we listen earlier, life becomes a little less heavy and a little bit more truthful. And if this helped you recognize patterns in yourself, learning Ayurveda in a structured and supportive way can deepen that awareness. This is the kind of self-understanding we explore through ongoing learning and practice.